Hey Fight fans, I'm Sarah Davis and you're watching Fight News Now Extra. We're getting to the latest newsmakers from this past weekend, including fighters turning down matches, and a victorious heavyweight calls out Fabricio Verdum. John Pollock and John Ramdeen will join us in just a few minutes, so let's get to the latest headlines in MMA. After an injury caused Quinton Rampage Jackson to drop out of his UFC 153 fight with Glover Teixeira, the promotion scrambled to find a replacement. Rashad Evans was asked but says he turned down the fight because he wouldn't have had enough time to prepare. He also tweeted that he would fight anyone, just please give him 8 weeks notice. Fabio Maldonado has stepped up to face Teixeira in Brazil. But finding replacements at the 11th hour is becoming something of the norm for Dana White. And he says that when he asked heavyweight Matt Mitrione to fill in for an injured Frank Mir against Daniel Cormier for Strikeforce in November, the former NFL player turned it down. White went on to say he thought that decision was insane. Another heavyweight making headlines, Stefan Struve. He TKO'd the formerly unbeaten Stipe Miocic this past weekend on UFC on Fuel TV 5, and he was quick to call out his next opponent. With 4 finishes in his last 4 fights, the skyscraper wants to face top-ranked Fabricio Verdum next. So let's hear what John Pollock and John Ramdeen have to say about these newsmakers and what they saw this weekend. Guys, does Struve make a good case for calling out Fabricio Verdum?
I think it's a good call for Struve to make. I think he really upped his position within that heavyweight mix right now. Verdum is someone that I almost think they're strategically keeping him on the sidelines, John, right now, because of that big main event with Dos Santos and Velasquez at the end of the year, and they're almost preparing for an injury.
I'm sure talk is cheap. This fight doesn't make sense. A fight with Frank Mir or Matt Mitrione makes more sense with Stefan Struve. This kid is a guy that's going to make a lot of money for the UFC, and people do not want to see him lose to Fabricio Verdum. Verdum on fire right now. His stand-up has never looked better, and if you go to the ground, Stefan Struve thinks he's going to tap out Fabricio Verdum. He has another thing coming.
Okay, well, we'll chat about Struve's performance in a minute, but we bring up Matt Mitrione right there. He decided not to take the fight against Daniel Cormier on November the 3rd. I think mistake, and you disagree with me. How dare you?
Yeah, I disagree. I think that, look, Daniel Cormier is on fire right now. Yes, these casual fans that watch the UFC may have no idea who he is, but for the hardcore fans, they definitely know. This guy has killer power. He has awesome wrestling, trains with one of the best camps in the world, and if he lands that big right hand, it is lights out for anybody, including Matt Mitrione, and I think that's why he didn't want to take this fight, because if he's going to go out, he wants to lose to a big-name fighter, not an emerging fighter.
He would be in a main event, 5 weeks notice, and this is a guy in Matt Mitrione who in the last month said that he wasn't exactly excited about this fight he has with Phil DeFries. He wants to fight now. He wants big names. He's 34 years old right now. I mean, what are you expecting at this stage of your career? You're already against the 8 ball, getting into MMA so late, and you're being offered a main event here with 5 weeks notice. So don't go out publicly saying you want fights, you want big names. Opportunity knocks, and he wasn't answering the door.
Well, to him, Daniel Cormier is not a big name, and I agree with him. On paper, yes.
You're the guy that argues Strikeforce cards that do these 700,000 viewers, and Luke Rockhold. These are big audiences.
They're big audiences for the hardcore fans. Like I've said in the past, the hardcore fans continue to emerge as we've seen the sport. It's going to continue to grow, and there is a hardcore fan base that follows this sport and understands the art of it. The other side, the people that watch the UFC, are casual observers that aren't really invested in the long-term, I guess, career of these fighters. And Matt Mitrione knows that to get stopped by Dan Cormier in front of all these Strikeforce, front of the Strikeforce audience, will not be good for his career.
Okay, I'll remember this argument when we preview Silva Bonner next week. But let's go back to Nottingham, England this past weekend. Phenomenal card with the exception of maybe one welterweight fight on the main card. But we talk about Struve and Miocic. I think Miocic winning that first round, I think that's a guy that no shame in losing this one. Struve really finding his range in that second round. But Miocic getting in on the inside in that first round, a really hard-hitting main event. And I think doing a lot for both guys. I think Miocic's first loss, it'll help him in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this entire card, I don't think fighters have moved anywhere. This is a card that was based on entertainment, and that's exactly what it delivered. Pure entertainment from top to bottom, except for McGuire and Hathaway, which stunk the whole show up. But you look at the rest of the card, yes, Brad Pickett got a huge victory over Yves Jabouin, Stefan Struve getting that huge victory over Stipe Miocic, but I only think it moves them ahead 1 or 2 spots in the division.
Enough.
And for Stefan Struve, I also think that he baited Miocic in. He knew it was 25 minutes. He knew he had a long time to put this guy away, make him throw a lot of punches, get punched in the face. We saw that he could take a punch and then finish things in the second round. That's why I say Stefan Struve is going to be a future UFC heavyweight champion.
And only 24 years old is something
yeah.
that I think we forget a lot. And we have to talk about the lightweight battle. Matt Wiman defeating Paul Sass. First career loss for Paul Sass. Phenomenal 3-minute and 28-second fight. I would have been fine if this got fight of the night, John.
I mean, Matt Wiman really inserts himself into the 155-pound picture. Just an excellent performance, considering the fact that this guy's been away from the sport for a year. We've always known that he's dangerous in all realms, but to go out there and make a statement and tap out the submission fighter really speaks volumes for Matt Wiman, and I can't wait till he gets back into the cage again.
And we also saw Dan Hardy really kind of reinvent himself, implementing some wrestling into his game, which was sorely needed, and now the guy's got 2 wins put together.
Yeah, if you are not evolving in this sport, you are dead in the water, and Dan Hardy proving that, yes, he wants to stand and bang, he wants to trade, but you have to have all facets of the game, and part of that game includes wrestling, and just to see his evolution of mixed martial arts is very refreshing, and it's almost breathed new life into Dan Hardy. He now has an opportunity to go out and take on some big players now at 170.
Yeah, fantastic matchmaking and a card that certainly delivered this past Saturday in Nottingham, England. And I know another big fan of this card was Sarah.
That's right, Pollock. So thanks for that, guys. And we have more live fights coming up on Fight Network this weekend. On Saturday, starting at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll broadcast Glory 2 Brussels, featuring a number of top kickboxers, including Remy Bonyaski and Gokhan Saki. So put your turkey pants on and enjoy the fights. But stay with us right now because we have a preview of ONE FC6 coming up next.